autumn, when the nights get longer, the days get colder, and the forest is filled with every shade of green, except for this one tree, which is Australia's only deciduous native tree, the Fagus gunni, and the locals go crazy. Their excitement levels raise to fever pitch, all because of this one tree with these cute little leaves. And I want to show you the easiest place to find the Fagus tree. Come with me. There are so many reasons why people get so excited about the Fagus, but I think one of the main reasons is because it's the only deciduous tree. So in this massive sea of green, you get these little pockets of yellow, which really stand out. And I think that's so much better than having the entire landscape lit up with yellows and oranges. Another thing I find really interesting about the Fagus is that you can only find it in mountainous areas between 1,000 and 1,300 metres. And not only that, it's just the landscape in general. If you have a look around me, it's really rocky. In fact, right now we're down in a little gully where there's water flowing beneath us. The Fagus doesn't discriminate between deep, rich soils and boulder fields. You can see this Fagus just above, nestling in some moss directly on top of rocks, along with pandani, and I think that's a pencil pine there, and more pandani behind. So Tasmanian plants really don't mind where they grow. Everything in this state, especially in the highlands, is about survival. Because the water is actually running underneath, it's quite a damp area, which does help for the survival of the species. I'm just going to take a few shots here. And because the Fagus lives in these subalpine areas where survival is key, you'll notice that the trees behind me here are really quite open and kind of how you'd expect a beech tree to be. And yet if you look behind you, you can see that this tree, which is exactly the same species, is hugging all the contours of the land. And they're not big and open because they're crouched down from all the wind and the furious weather that does come through here from time to time. And that's what makes this plant so interesting, because this one deciduous tree with all the shades of yellows and oranges, you've got vastly different shapes and sizes. These trees can be very, very dense bushes that only grow to about 1/2 metre in height, to full-blown trees that grow 2 or 3 metres high and perhaps even more. And they're such a slow-growing tree that even a 50-year-old plant, the trunk is barely more than 1 foot wide. That might not be true. Whoa, slippery. In terms of photography, I have a 35mm lens on. Again, I'm still waiting for my 24-70 to come back from repairs. But outside of my heavy 15 to 30mm lens, the 35 is pretty good. It's a good width for most situations. Certainly in terms of this small tree here, I'm shooting at f3.5 just to let in a little bit more light, because it is quite dull around here, especially down in the hollows. It's difficult because with the sky behind, it does become quite contrasty, but I think I can pull that back in post. The important thing is I get this range of colours and the shape of the tree around the rock. So the shallow depth of field doesn't actually matter too much. I'm focused on the plant itself, and if it's a little bit out of focus in the foreground and the background, I'm fine with that. Right, I'm gonna shoot a couple more.
Fly away. I will go where you go. Never wander alone. There's no time to waste. 'Cause I can see that one by one the stars come out and the sky begins to glow with a feeling I've never known before. Through the high and low, nothing comes close.
I've come up into this little Fagus grotto to do some macro photography with such beautiful small scenes just in this little alcove. Blows me away every time I come up here, and it is different every time I come up here. Last week I came up with my friend Simon and we found a lot of fungi in here actually, and slime mold. So we spent a bit of time taking photos of those instead of the Fagus. But today it's all about the Fagus. I think the light's beautiful. Everything is backlit just nicely. So I've got my tripod for the low light. I've got my macro lens on. Let's see what we can find. I mean, look up behind me. The light coming behind those leaves is gorgeous. And if you look closely, you can see every vein in each of the leaves. Magic for macro photography. So I've got my composition and things are moving around ever so slightly. I've got these 3 leaves here. Go on this side. These 3 leaves here. I think they work really well together because we've got the green and the yellow. My ideal composition would have this leaf just over slightly, but it is joined to this little twig here. So it is what it is. Now what we need to do is make sure we get as much in focus as possible. So if I focus on the front of the yellow leaf, I'm on f25, which is giving me 1/30th of a second at ISO 100. Now I am in a precarious position. I've got a big step below me, and because I'm up so high, I can't put my tripod leg down on the bottom of the next step. Oh, here we go. So if you're wondering why I'm cradling the tripod, that's why, because it could easily tip over. And that looks wonderful. And I can probably sharpen up that green leaf a little in post. So my first macro shot. Now I'm sure there are some others around here which are just as good. The light is fading behind, so I may not concentrate on the backs of leaves now. Now my macro lens is 100 millimeters, and failing changing the lens to something wider, I want to get a shot of this scene that I was just doing the macro shots in. And I think it's really beautiful. Like there's all those colors, but with some thick black silhouettes as well. I can drop that ISO back down for a longer exposure now because I'm far enough away from any slight movement of the leaves. The extra time doesn't actually matter. I don't need f32. Drop that down to ISO 100 and keep it about 1/4 of a second. I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. I had to take it off AV because those highlights that were coming through weren't being metered and they were just blowing out completely. But there's nothing like the old-fashioned eye, is there? Let's get that a little bit straighter. I did this earlier where I got a little bit of this myrtle tree beside me. I think it's a myrtle. I have no idea what that is. No, it's not. It's some kind of eucalypt. Anyway, I had this shot earlier where I got a little piece of this trunk here. It's all gnarled and it's absolutely beautiful and this really nice sort of orange colour. So I thought if I do that as well, get that in the shot, if I can actually see what I'm doing.
Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close to this. Nothing comes.
So where is this little pot of gold? Well, it's actually on the main road up to Lake Dalton as part of the Mountfield National Park. It's probably about 3/4 of the way up. The car park is right on the road and the small walk comes straight off there. So you are literally in amongst the Fagus within 30 seconds. It's a magnificent little spot. It may not be the best example of Fagus. There are other places throughout the state with much bigger areas that look very, very impressive. But if you want to get up close and personal and you don't want to walk very far, this is the best place to do it. I am heading up here again in about a week's time and I'll probably do some video up there. So with any luck, I'll have more to show you from a different area. In the meantime, thanks for watching. If you want more of these, please hit the subscribe button and I will see you on the next one.